You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phone. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Friday, 3rd day of January, 2020. Here we are back in the roaring 20s, and wow, what a start to the new year. When I made that prediction on the show yesterday, I had no idea that we were hours away from it actually happening. So I guess we'll talk about that next year when we pop open the time capsule. But hey, welcome to the show. So glad you're here. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. Seemed to be some funny things going on with the internet today. I had a couple things that didn't want to load properly. Then I lost my platform feed, and then it came back. And, well, there's been a few other ghosts in the machine, but we're just going to press on and move on and carry on because, well, that's how we do things. All right, if you can't see the screen I have up, let's fix that. Go to our homepage at CFRN.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions, You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. Now, there will be days you're out of the office away from your desktop. Not to worry. Grab any internet-connected browser and point it to cfrn.net/live, and there you'll find a live, real-time simulcast of the show as it unfolds, brought to you by the good folks at YouTube. Of course, you can still go the old route. You could go youtube.com/CFRN/live. There you'll find the show live in real time. You can also go to the CFRN Facebook business page, which is facebook.com/live Emini Futures Trading. You'll find the live show streaming there as well. And today, for the very first time, I just wanted to make sure yesterday the server could handle the stream to YouTube, to our site, to Facebook, all at the same time. Did a pretty good job. And so today we've added Twitter. That's correct. If you go to twitter.com/CFRN, there you should find a live, real-time simulcast of the show as it unfolds. So there you go. We've done everything we can to cover all the bases to bring our show to as many people as possible all around the blue marble. All right, let's go to the charts and see what's happened so far today. Bring up a chart of the S&P 500, Emini Futures. Let's go to a daily chart. Now, we talked about price needing to come down to touch the BBC. Look how close we got. We already went from the entry to the trigger, and then back up, and then we came back down through the trigger, almost touching the BBC, catching another bounce. Now, last night I explained in Telegram that for my narrative to change from us being in a retracement to us continuing to climb higher means that what we need to do is we need to, you know what, I'll bring up those instructions a little later. When I go to the 30-minute chart, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, because that's really 30-minute stuff. So here we sit, just off all-time historic highs, that all-time historic high being 3263.5. And we are at the 3rd of January. As you can see below, let me draw these one more time. Based on just the last leg up. And that's all. Here's the 24. Here's the 38. Here's the 50% Fibonacci retracement. Now, price will eventually reach the BBC. Does it reach it at the 24? Does it spike it and touch the 38? Well, time will tell. However, what I'm really interested in is this 50% Fibonacci retracement, because that also lines up this previous swing high right here. And we know how much what was once resistance loves to become good support. So this is a critical day. Last trading day of the first new week of the year. So, let me give you a little bit of news. Nexo CEO held an interview, and his name, Antony Trinchev, he's the head of Bitcoin lending platform Nexo.io. says that Bitcoin can very easily hit $50,000 during this year, 2020. In an interview with Bloomberg in Berlin today, he said that Bitcoin price growth since its inception is almost unlike anything ever seen before. It's been an incredible asset, uncorrelated to the overall market. Trenchev added Bitcoin's journey up to 20,000 was reminiscent of German hyperinflation after the First World War. It delivers systematic, asymmetric returns, and the only thing we have seen close to anything like this has been the rise of the US dollar against the German mark in the 1920s. Did I say, welcome back to the Roaring 20s. Asked how much higher Bitcoin versus the US dollar could actually go this year, Trenchev predicted $50,000, in line with CNBC host Joe Kernan, who last July said the pair would hit $55,000 around the time of Bitcoin's May 2020 block reward halving. Trenchev's comments came as Bitcoin began edging up against the dollar early today. Despite a raft of recent warnings that downward price action could continue, Bitcoin USD delivered 24-hour gains of 2.5% and at press time had broken $7,300. As Cointelegraph reported, the action followed renewed geopolitical uncertainty after the U.S. President Donald Trump ordered an attack which killed a senior Iranian general in the Iraqi capital of Baghdad. Well, sorry it had to come to that, but maybe he should have stayed in Iran. Longer term, however, analysts still envision Bitcoin going lower in Q1 before reversing upwards. The halving, long awaited by many investors, should serve as a catalyst for the bullish U-turn. Almost everyone agrees with that. Of course, Tim Draper is still out there with his forecast that Bitcoin will hit 250,000 this year in 2020. Let me give you the numbers from around the world, starting with the cash markets here in the US of A. Thank you, Clayton. All right. Currently, the S&P, make that the Dow. Again, these are the cash markets. The Dow's currently down 183 points. NASDAQ down 41. S&P down 15. Russell 2000 down 6. In the commodity basket, crude oil up $1.38. No surprise there. Trading 62.56 last. That's a gain of about 2.25%. Gold, no surprise there either. Up $21.80. Trading 15.49.90 last. That's a gain of 1.5%. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei dropped 181 points. Shanghai lost 1.5. The Hang Seng dropped 92. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE was up 18, DAX down 166, the CAC up 2.5. That gives us a red day in Asia, mixed day in the UK. So far, it's a big red Radio Friday here in the US of A. Let's go to Michael and get a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning. When I come back, we'll chat with John. We'll take a look at the Concierge Trade Alerts for the last 2 days. We'll take a look at Logic 247 for the week. All that and more when I return. Michael,
Okay,
it is all yours.
I am ready. Clayton, 1 p.m. Eastern. I just sent you a link. Okay. And Alan, is Alan in here? No, Alan is not in here. Okay. All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, the 3rd day of January, 2020. And yeah, we had big stuff going on last night. We'll start out with this. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. Right over here in the right-hand column, it says 5-day free trial, apply.cfrn.net. If you click on that or any of these other buttons down here that say free 5-day trial, it will bring you to this page, eminitrainingschool.com. On this page, all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number, and you can, I just want to make sure that that's right. Yep. And you can put in your biggest trading challenge. So we can tailor one-on-one training specifically for you. Hit the send button. Once you hit that send button, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the trial. So you got to click on that. All right, now my recaps. Now I changed the name of this. So any of you guys that had the link to the old one, that was 2013 to 19, you're just going to get the old stuff. I still have to update the spreadsheet. It's not working exactly right. But today, I mean, just make it simple. We made 10 ticks in crude. So that puts us up 206 and a quarter on the day, and we're averaging about $103 a day. Okay, so we're up 206 and a quarter on the year so far. I need to make this a 2, but I need to update the whole thing. It's just not updating properly right now. But I will take care of that. Okay. Today in gold. Well, today, I knew once we had all that stuff going on overnight that the markets were going to be a mess today. And I didn't expect to get a whole bunch of opportunity. Now, there was some opportunity right here in gold to bounce off the BBC right here. And we missed that. And I don't know what happened right there. I think it was a 10 o'clock news. But I was thinking Trump tweeted something as well. And after that, we really didn't have any opportunity at all on the gold. It was just a mess. During the break, let's see. During the break, there was a shorting opportunity right here. Would have been a break even. And that was it with gold. The euro, we had one break even trade right here that ended up moving up pretty nicely. Then it was followed up by another trade right here, but I think it was going into the high of the day, so we didn't take it. And then it pushed in new highs, and during the break, it got completely sideways. Completely sideways. Okay. And that was it on the euro. That was it. Crude oil, hang on, let me scroll back. On crude, we had a few trades here on crude. The first one we picked up 6 ticks right here. Picked up 6 ticks. Then we picked up 3 more to put us at +9. I thought I had my stop at +10, but I had it at +9. Then we picked up the one last tick right over here to give us +10 on the morning session. During the break, well, 11 o'clock came around, and we had crude inventories come out at 11 o'clock. So we weren't doing anything with it then. And I was telling everyone then when it was way up here. When it was way up here at 63.60. My number for the coming week is 61.20. 61.20. And you can see it's really working its way back down there. There was a shorting opportunity right here toward the end of the session this morning. Then it got a little bit flat. Then during the break, there was another opportunity right there. That was nice. I wouldn't have done anything in here in the chop. It turned around, tried to retrace a little bit, and it's going to retrace some. But 61.20 is my number. right here. It started moving down again. There was a shorting opportunity right in there. It got all choppy right in here, so we wouldn't have done anything. And it's coming back to give us another shorting opportunity now. But it's questionable because this is the level right here that we needed to close down below, and we didn't. But still 61.20 for the week is my level. The ES, we had just one trade on the ES. Hang on, I'm getting to it. There it was, a break-even trade right there. That was all we had this morning on the ES. It got down into this zone and then just started to chop around. Came up out of the zone, but we had dynamic resistance there that needed to be broken. Then it came back down to the zone. Then it went back up to out of the zone. And so the ES was just a mess this morning. I didn't want to do anything in here because we wanted to break this high. So we broke the high way over here, but then it went right back down to the zone. So we really couldn't do anything with the ES this morning. And that was the morning session. And I knew it was going to be a mess. Last night we were in the partners meeting and I was watching the markets just jump all over the place. I knew today was going to be a mess. All right. I'll tell you in a second, Brad. Okay, here we go. I don't even know why I'm showing you this. Well, we picked up 10 ticks on crude, so we're at 206.25. And that's over 2 days, averaging $103.12 per day. Excuse me. And we're at 206.25 on the year. I got to update this so that it's correct. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. And over here in the right-hand column, it says 5-day free trial apply.cfrn.net. Click on that, and you will be brought to this page where all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number, and you can tell us the biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training specifically for you. Hit the send button and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. If you don't click the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. Okay, and Brad, we bombed an airport in Baghdad, killing an Iranian general. Well, actually, a couple of them. That's what happened last night. And, let me just put this on a larger time frame for you. And you can see here on the larger time frame what happened when that came out last night. And this was, pretty much all during the partners meeting last night. The markets were jumping around like this. Dwayne and I both put trades on in the partners meeting last night. And I was up 610 on mine. But that's it. And that's all we have for the morning session. All right, with that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Yes, sir. I am ready.
Okay.
Okay. Well, again, for those who may have tuned in late, our live stream now available on, of course, now the best way to enjoy the show is to come to the site, go to the home page, microphone on the big left, download the GoTo software. This gives you access to the chat box so that you can participate in the discussion. Of course, there'll be days you're out of the office, away from the desktop. So one more time, you can point any internet-connected browser to youtube.com/CFRN/live, as you've been able to do for quite some time now. Then we added CFRN.net/live. Yesterday we added Facebook.com/live Emini Futures trading. And today, I haven't checked it yet. Let me just do that as I stand here holding my cell phone. I go to Twitter. I go to twitter.com/CFRN. And there it is. I'm watching it broadcast live on Twitter. That bell's for everybody. So again, we're broadcasting live from our own site. Two different ways. Broadcasting live on YouTube. Broadcasting live on Facebook. And broadcasting live on Twitter. That deserves another bell. Took a little work. By golly. That's what we do here. A little work. Actually, it's a lot of work, but we did it. All right. Had a great partners workshop last night. If you missed it, if you have access, catch the video. Michael and I both did do a little bit of live trading on the show last night. Now, I've already shown you what this looks like on a daily chart. Let's drill down. Oh, recap of the recap. Sorry.
Today, it took 78 minutes and 4 trades to get to $100 per contract.
Okay.
78 minutes and 4 trades.
That's a good bingo.
It is. Okay, let me just see if John's in here, because I have 2 meetings that I have to do this afternoon.
Okay.
Nope, John's not here yet.
Worst case, he'll jingle my phone when he gets here.
Okay.
And I'll open it up for him. All right. Anything else meaningful, eventful happened this morning we should talk about before you go?
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, the markets were a miss, and I expected they were going to be. After last night, all that movement last night. Typically when you get that kind of movement in the pre-market, and this is just for everybody else's information, when you get that kind of movement in the pre-market, when the markets actually do open up, there's going to be a lot of sideways movement, and that's pretty much what we had today. I mean, I had 5 trades this morning. I think I missed 1 or maybe 2 that were both winning trades, but for the most part, it was just a lot of sideways action, going back to the zone, back to the zone, back to the zone, back to the zone. And then once it gets in the zone, everything else goes sideways. And it was doing it over and over and over again today. So
Bob Z eloquently says, John's tweeting his butt off right now. I'd like to see that.
Is he?
Thank you, Bob.
That's funny. Hey, John's in there now, too.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
I'm gonna
all right,
open
guys. Yeah, go ahead. Open up John's mic. Guys, we're going to talk to John first. And then I promised you yesterday, because we didn't do a complete recap of the previous night's alerts. After we talk with John, I'll go through 2 days worth of Concierge. I'll cover logic for the entire week. So you'll get everything you got coming to you during this radio broadcast. But first, John, welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you? Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year to you. I don't know if you heard the opening of the show, but we now stream live as we have on YouTube for many years. We also are streaming live as I speak on Facebook, and we're streaming live on Twitter.
Congrats.
If you go to twitter.com/CFRN, you'll see the show.
Super.
Right.
That's tremendous. Okay.
Yes, they say that the best way to double your audience is to put your show in front of 2 audiences. So I thought, what the heck, I'll put it in front of 3.
For sure. No, that's a trifecta.
There you go.
Good for you. Actually, speaking of trifectas,
yeah,
I was thinking last night, if Trump can track down who's Bin Laden's sidekick, the fellow Ayman al-Zawahiri, if they can get him, that'll be a trifecta.
Right. Well, now I hate to be the one to have to bring it up, but as we all made our predictions yesterday, do you remember what my prediction was? Right, correct?
Sell off? They were going to sell off a bit?
No, that Trump would strike.
Oh, no, good for you. No, that was a great call. And actually, I found a new fellow last night. I think it's called DFF, Defense something, at DFF, I think it is. And they actually, believe it or not, they said, about the embassy thing, about 11 hours before the strike, they said they kind of predicted that Trump would strike. So you're in good company there.
I don't think he had any, the way I see it, he had no other choice.
Yeah.
The guy called him out. He said, yeah, we did it, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, all this stuff coming from the Democrats today is just so pathetic. It's tedious to listen to. But, I put out a lot of tweets last night. I was kind of up till about 4 in the morning because it was pretty riveting what was going on. And there was a lot of a lot of information coming from all over the place, but to be retweeted, if you like. But this, what I found out during the night was that somebody pointed out that Bush had the opportunity to take this guy out in 2006 and didn't do it. And I mean, if I was an unfortunate vet sitting at home with no legs or something because of that, I'd be really, really mad, because this is just unforgivable. And you and I have talked about this on this show since we started. And we talked about Iraq, the first, the Iraq War, and the consequences of Bush the first not going in and taking out Saddam Hussein like he should have done in 1991 was the biggest military blunder of the 20th century.
Indeed it was.
And when we were in there, we were just destroying them.
How many unfortunate souls have suffered or been killed because of that stupid decision? And it was all for gains and ratings, and he wanted to end the war in 4 days and all this sort of nonsense. It's just pathetic.
Second only to Eve not reading the terms of service on that apple.
Right.
Right. Nobody reads the terms of service on Apple, but anyway, that's a bad joke.
That during that war, because I was over there.
I didn't know that. Thanks for your service.
We cut off their supply lines, and what do they call them? The Million Man Army or whatever.
Right.
And they were wanting to be POWs. They were taking food away from us.
The surrenders were unbelievable.
Yeah, they were taking food away from us and giving it to them.
Yeah, no.
Everybody threw up their hands. It's like, take me to the promised land.
The logistics guy, he had an Italian name. He was the guy who supplied, the invading, the U.S. All them. It was a fantastically executed war, but it was,
it stopped too soon.
Exactly, and not only that, then they gave Saddam, he could fly his choppers, and he killed all the Kurds. I mean, killed the Shiites. It was just a terrible thing. The whole thing was just.
Oh, I know. I was there for that too.
Yeah.
That was Operation Provide Comfort, is what it was.
And
we were
Operation
the Kurds
Provide
dropping.
Comfort.
Yeah, yep, good for you. You know what? The other tragedy, of course, was. 50 years ago or so, the Israelis had the chance to take out Yasser Arafat. They didn't do it, and look at the havoc and grief that he caused Israel since. And it was the same with Clinton and Bin Laden in '98. Didn't do it, and look at what happened in New York. And then Bush. Now we found out that Bush didn't take this guy out. It's just unforgivable. I mean, this whole Syrian thing with the 500,000 and all the people going to Europe and everything, that might never have happened if this guy had been taken out in 2006. It just and we've talked about this before, Dwayne. These military forces like Hamas and Hezbollah that are operating in different countries with impunity. It's just it's time to go in and clean this up once and for all. And I hope Trump is about to start doing that.
I hope you're right.
I do too.
Yeah. So
too much for too long, and man,
Well, we're up $23 on gold right now.
I know, it's a beautiful
And
thing. Let me bring up a
guess
gold
what?
chart right
We're
here.
we're right back to the previous high. And remember what I said, when it takes out that high, it's going to accelerate substantially higher.
That high is about 1560, right?
Yeah. And when it starts taking that out, I think you're going to see an upside acceleration, because if you put that on a daily or a weekly, you can see the kind of flag formation. And as we said last week, the fact that
there's
the flag,
weekly, John.
I mean, it's really powerful, that thing. And look, the commercials are short. They're caught short. They thought they were smarter. They thought they could break the gold down. They couldn't break it down. They've been trying to break this gold down since it was 1230, and they've been losing. And so, you know, you've got this German thing going on. I'm sure there's people queuing right now to buy gold in Germany.
John, do you know? Do you have any associates in Germany?
I have one guy.
Would you see if you could find a guy who possibly runs a coin shop or whatever it is that they call these places where, because people are lining up to buy gold because they can only buy anonymously up to 10,000 euros until some coming date here. I don't think it was the first. I'd like to talk to one of the guys that sits in that shop all day, perched up on the little stool, looking out the storefront window at the line coming in to buy whatever gold he has left. I think that'd be very, very exciting to have a man. We bring him on the show live. We can even do a special because
Yeah, that's
of
an
the time
interesting
difference.
idea. I might try and set that up. I've got to call somebody.
I was going to
over the
just
weekend,
cold
so-
call off the internet until I found a guy willing to talk to us on the show. But if you know somebody, that would be even better.
Yeah, no, I'll try that. So, if you could put the weekly up on the gold.
That is weekly right there.
Oh, sorry, monthly then, monthly.
Sure. Here we go.
By the way, when you go expanding ranges like that, see what I mean about the monthly, and you go back and look at what happened before, you know, once you break these consolidations, see what happened before when we went up to 1900. Once you took out the previous consolidation, it accelerated up quite dramatically. And I think that's probably about to happen. Look, there might be a little bit of a double top here, possibly 1560, and then we could pull back a bit one more time. I
This
wouldn't
was a
rule that out.
$300 month here, John. This month that I'm hovering over had a low of 1607 and had a high of 1912. That's a $300 monthly. Now, unfortunately, it was followed by a $300 plus reversal the following month. But
well, you know, I think
That's how markets
we're on the cusp of an upside acceleration, and obviously with these, you know, threats coming from Iran that we're going to retaliate and all that, you know, it could be the beginning of serious upside. And look, there's a lot of deja vu in this. Remember, the U.S. Embassy in Tehran was really partly responsible for pushing gold up to 875 back in 1979. So this is, we predicted it on this show. I mean, we talked about this before, talking about $2,000-3,000 gold, that you know, Iran would be part of it, and here we are. It's happening in real time. So I think that if this becomes a full-scale deal, it's probably going to be very, very bullish for gold. So that's why I made this forecast a few days ago, that I'd rather err on the upside over this year. So, and by the way, Trump's approval ratings are at 50% again. I wouldn't be surprised if they hit new highs in the next week or two. He's really done an incredible job. I mean, he's had 2 flawless operations now that have been extremely well executed. I think this new defense secretary is a very capable guy, and I think Trump is being very, very, very well advised by this new national security advisor. And you know, this news just come out about this guy, the fellow who got appointed when Flynn had to step down. You know, apparently he was tied in with Brennan, and put all these leakers in the White House and everything, just terrible. I don't know why Trump ever hired him. It's a big mistake. You know, having and you know, Flynn, the reason why they were gunning for Flynn was because he was going to expose a lot of corruption. And I think before, I mean, listen, I think he's got the right team in there right now. So we'll see. He's certainly done a great job so far. And hopefully it will keep going. But the market is so strong that this is just kind of a little overnight pullback. It's a little bit like the pullback we had before the holiday, before the new year. Here we are again.
Daily
We're
chart.
cutting our losses. Right. I mean, by the way, that extreme greed fear thing got to 97 yesterday. Probably down a bit today, but 97 is a fairly extreme reading, and I'd have to see.
Give me that
how
address
much,
again. What's it called?
fear and greed.
Fear and greed index.
Yeah.
CNN.
Yeah, it was 97
Extreme
yesterday,
greed.
so
Look at
it's 95
And look
today.
where we were 1 year ago.
Yeah.
We're at the opposite.
No, it's.
opposite end of the
I mean,
spectrum.
listen. You know, a year ago. Remember, we were already rallying a year ago quite strongly.
Oh yes, we were.
So, you know, we got to. I think we actually got to zero on the 26th of December, Dwayne. It was either 1, 2, or 3. I forget which number it was, but it was pretty extreme. And so, you know, maybe it's different on the upside. Maybe the market can continue overbought for longer. So it may remain extreme for a while. So we'll have to see. But the market is definitely clawing its way back. I think this changes the equation on the oil too. I think you're going to see a premium now in the oil, is because, you know, Lindsey Graham's talking about taking out some of these Iranian refineries if they retaliate, and maybe sinking their navy as well would be an option. So I think they'll get the memo sooner or later. But in the meantime, if they do take out the Iranian refineries, that would probably cause a big spike in oil. And you never know, they might try a stunt. You know, they might have another shot at the Saudi facilities. So this premium, it's interesting because we've kind of gone back up to the kind of level we were at when the Saudis were hit. And if you remember, you know, we're in the first quarter of the first 5 months of the year are usually pretty strong for the energy sector, and it looks like that's certainly happening. It's quite actually strong, happening quite remarkably. The way we've gone up in oil in the last few weeks. So, in spite of the warmer, the kind
That's
of
our
warmer
highest weekly tradings on this week for crude, 63.45/63.50, and we tagged it.
Yeah. It's today, this morning. You know, the API numbers came out yesterday, and I guess it was in the partners meeting last night that I said 61.20 was my target for oil, and you know, I knew after the huge climb, after everything happened, that it was going to retrace, and so I said 61.20, and I'm still sticking to that. And one of our partners, Michael G, you know, I suggested buying put options at the time, and he bought a put option, made 40% today, and he's thinking about buying more, and I said, oh, you just got to give it a little more time.
Bells for him and you.
Yeah, so the market's impressive today for sure. And, you know, Apple is right up there again, pretty much at an all-time high. It's AMD. By the way, AMD is at all-time highs. What a call! I mean, remember we made a call on that stock when it was at $2, saying that, you know, it's a late cycle performer, and here we are.
There's AMD on the daily chart.
Yeah. I mean, remember when that thing was down at $2 back in 2016.
There it is, right there.
Yeah. Look at that. There it was.
2016.
Yep. So amazing. Because I mean, listen, this company was kind of having a near-death experience back then, and look at the way it's come through. It's incredible.
A very bullish day today.
Yeah. And the Intel, it's worth taking a look at Intel. I think Intel's, I remember we said already that we think Intel's going to go to new highs before this this run is over.
That's an interesting pattern there.
Yeah.
And the most significant thing being is that we have put in a new high there.
Yeah. And look, Intel, I mean, it's interesting that AMD is kind of outperforming Intel really right now. But I think Intel is going to, I think the old high is about 70 back in 2000. It's one of the few stocks that hasn't hit an all-time high yet. And 80, got to go to about 75, I think. Is that right? 75. Almost 80.
Almost $80. That was back in August of 2000.
Yeah, it kind of looks like, I think if it keeps going, it's probably going to go to 100, maybe even 100 and 110 or 120, the stock still. It
seems like a well, I see 15, 20 bucks just laying on the table waiting for somebody to pick it up here.
Right. The other one is what's the name of that company that Larry
Ellison?
Yeah. What?
I'll ask my friend the internet. Somebody's going to put it in the chat box. Larry Ellison.
Oracle Corp. Yeah, let's have a look at Oracle. ORCL.
Yeah, we have a partner that works for Oracle. What's the symbol?
ORCL.
ORCL. All right.
Yeah, look at that. It's already, I think, yeah, it's already gone to new all-time highs, this stock. So put in a bit of a spike there. That's actually a bit of a warning sign, because remember what I said a while back? That makes Larry Ellison one of the richest guys in the world. It certainly puts him in the top 10, I think, and because he's got a pretty big stake still in Oracle. And I kind of said, watch for Oracle to kind of fail at some point, if it goes to a new high, because basically that's what happened back in 2000. Oracle spiked, and for a nanosecond, Larry Ellison was the richest guy in the world, and that was actually the top of the market when that happened. So
how are the gold stocks faring today?
They're up. They're not up by too much, but they're up. Yesterday they kind of corrected a bit, but the gold's very strong today. We're just 23 higher now and 10 up on the silver.
Somebody asked me to look at this, John. Someone in the audience, who was that? Brad. Brad asked me to look at Occidental Petroleum. Do you know anything about this company?
No, I don't. Well, I know it's an oil company and it's into a lot of things, but it's probably not doing so well because it's North Sea. It's got exposure in the North Sea and some of these other places. And look, the oil sector. I mean, right now, the best thing that ever happened to oil is what's happening today to the oil companies, because when they're down at sort of $50, $55 in West Texas, they're barely making money. Some of these oil companies. I mean, they're doing a great job producing oil, but they're not actually coining it, and they're so extra $10 or $20 a barrel makes a world of a difference to these oil companies right now. And obviously, if we get up to $100 a barrel, that's going to be transformational for a lot of these oil companies.
All right.
So
listen,
that's kind of the wrap for the day. Thanks very much for the. Oh, by the way, Tesla. Check out Tesla. I think Tesla's a new high today. Look at that. Actually gapped higher. Look at that.
Yeah, this is daily.
Yeah.
We drag it down.
Tesla's starting to act a little bit like Yahoo did back in 2000. 1999, 2000. It's kind of running on its own steam. Remember that Yahoo was kind of king of the boom back then, and at some point, Tesla's going to have a reality check, I think.
Johnny, is there? I'm guessing you have something you have to jump off and do, but is there anything else you want to take a look at here before we go?
Oh, there was one thing. Yeah, look, the dollar. Even though the dollar went down the other day, going into the end of the year, it's kind of up a little bit today. I wouldn't rule out one more upside thrust in the dollar. I think that you have to be prepared for that. But I think if we break down to new lows, that's probably going to be off the table. But given the rebound we had, and then this, usually when there's a military action, the dollar tends to be pretty strong. And it, in spite of the pullback, we could still see one more run up towards 100. After that, then maybe the dollar will go down. So we'll see.
Has the company put out any words yet on Santa Fe's financials?
They're extremely close. Maybe a few days more or something like that. So, and they're supposed to be shipping ore any day now too. So.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Do you need to grab that call?
I will. Yeah. Thanks very much.
All right, John. All right, guys. All right. We're getting ready to do a recap of everything that happened. I hope he didn't hurt himself. All right. 3-minute break, and then we're going to launch into a recap of everything that has happened over the last couple days. We'll do an in-depth recap. So, be 3 minutes, and I'll be back sooner than 3.
Get one. Need a dollar credit card or a peso? Probably a good idea to get. Yeah. Okay. Hello, Frank. Hi. Oh, is it no? Okay. But what was it postponed or what? Oh, okay. I'll come on right now. Thanks for letting me know. Okay.
And we're back. Just want to double check, make sure all streams are healthy. All right, let's start with the S&P. Let's start with logic. Okay, if you don't know the difference, we have 2 alert services. Logic 247, and the Concierge Trade Alerts. Why would a person need 2 alert services? Doesn't that get confusing? Not at all. It brings great clarity. How so? Well, Logic 247, that's our 24/7 around-the-clock Emini alert service. And the term Emini alert service is a bit deceptive in that, let me close John's mic. Stand by. John, if you decide to jump back in, just jingle my phone. Okay. Now, the Concierge Trade Alerts, let me finish with Logic. Logic is the 24/7 around-the-clock futures alert service. We crank up Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, and we keep the pedal to the metal till Friday afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern. Alerts have nothing to do with the clock on the wall. If you're a Wall Street equities trader, your action, your activities are limited, for the most part, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Futures traders have a tremendous benefit, and that our markets are moving from Sunday night at 6 to Friday afternoon at 5. Now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the markets do take a 1-hour break from 5 p.m. Eastern to 6 p.m. Eastern. You know, they gotta empty the ashtrays, wipe down the tables, all that kind of stuff. And then at 6 p.m. Eastern, they open the door, and that begins the new session. As an example, when we open Sunday night, that's called the Monday session. Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, when the markets reopen, that begins the Tuesday session. So by the time Wall Street traders show up to work Monday or Tuesday morning at 9:30, a lot of our traders are already done for the day. The Logic alerts are based on current price behavior. Alerts are posted not on any timetable. They're posted as opportunity develops in the market. You always have ample time to get to your computer, to get to your trading platform, to look at the chart, because it's very important that you understand why it's an alert. See, we're not just some trade calling service. Now, this is about you learning how to trade. I don't ever want you to just blindly put on a trade because, well, Dwayne sent an alert, must be good. Well, whether it is or it isn't, it's of little value to you long term. Yeah, it could put some jingle in your pocket today, but unless you understand the nature of the alert, why it's an alert, why it's a high probability alert, then you're just clicking the mouse. Okay? Don't be a mouse clicker. Become a trader. That's the opportunity that's in front of you. If you ever want to break free of this endless cycle of Googling till your fingers bleed, finding some hot, slick, new magical indicator or mystical oscillator, rushing to that PayPal button because it clearly says on the screen, there's only 4 left. It's a digital product. They can make as many as they want. Shh. That's a great internet marketing secret. I'm serious. Aren't you tired of having your intelligence insulted over and over and over? Okay. So with Logic 247, it's an opportunity to set yourself free from all of that. The endless cycle of find something new, get very excited, buy something new, try to figure out how to trade it, because it never comes along with a real live person to help you and direct you and guide you to develop a feel for that thing, whatever that thing is. Oh, and then the account blows up, and then you wire more money to Chicago, and the vicious cycle starts again. It's kind of like the cycle of domestic violence, which I won't go into great detail on here today. But but you should Google that sometime. The domestic violence cycle. It is a cycle. You can almost set your watch by it. It's an ever-quickening cycle. The amount of time between when you send more money to Chicago over time, it gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. There's the honeymoon period. There's all the stuff. We've all heard the term battered wife syndrome. There's actually a term called battered husband syndrome for those familiar with domestic violence. My wife and I, for a period of time, opened and ran here in Phoenix a home for battered women and abused children. Yeah, most of you have been around for a while. No, it was. This is how God does things. And if this doesn't completely blow your mind, if you don't believe there's a God in heaven orchestrating all this, have somebody check your pulse, okay? My wife and I knew diddly nothing about this thing called domestic violence. I grew up in a home where my parents argued, that there was harsh words exchanged. One time when I was 6 years old, I saw my mother slap my dad. They were sitting at the kitchen table. He made some remark, and she just reached over and, she balled up her fist. It wasn't hard. She was trying to make a point more than she was trying to inflict physical pain. So, you should never strike anyone in anger, If you're going to touch somebody, give them a hug or a hearty handshake or a peck on the cheek. But anyway, getting off track. Somehow, a book by Stephen King fell into my possession. Now, this book, I really recommend that you read it. Not because I think you're involved in domestic violence, not because I think it's a part of what's going on in your home, but I'm telling you, you know somebody who's being abused. You know a woman who behind closed doors is being abused. And it just may be the person you would last suspect. Somebody you sit on the pew with at church, the person that sits in the cubicle next to you. Once you read this book, you're gonna know the warning signs. And you're gonna develop a sixth sense. Now, this is a fictional book, but it's based on real life, the way it really. I had no idea what a horribly insidious sickness this is, nor did I know how far-reaching it was. I sat down with this book just because I like to read, and this was pre-internet, or just as the internet was starting. I think we had AOL back then. I think that was about the extent of the internet for most people, although I had been bouncing around on bulletin boards on what was called the ARPANET for a period of time prior to that. But I came across the book, read the book, and it made such an impact on me. I can't describe it. And so the day I finished the book, you ever finish a book when you're like, you're not the same person anymore, because you've learned, you've experienced. We know what a skillful, talented writer he is. I sat there in my chair. There wasn't another page to turn, so I turned on the TV. God, this sounds so made up. Oh my, another one of these Christian stories they tell. Oh, those Christians, they got a story for everything. Well, God is my witness. God, if this isn't what really happened, then let the audience know somehow. I turned on the news. I turned on the TV. It happened to be on one of the local news channels. Guess what that particular segment was about? Yep. At the time, there were 4 federally funded domestic violence shelters in Phoenix. 4. Now, the point of the story that they were sharing was, of course, that domestic violence is an epidemic. It's been going on forever, but it's starting to come to light more and more. But on any given day ending in Y, those 4 federally funded domestic violence shelters here in Phoenix turned away, on average, 100 women and children every day. Now, Chrysalis, the biggest, they had a $1 million federal budget. And with $1 million a year, they were able to provide 14 beds. 14. So across these 4, every day, 100 women and children were told, sorry, no room at the inn. Go home. If you survive tonight, please, by all means, come back tomorrow. If there's a bed available, we'll be happy to accommodate you. Well, you could probably do some fast math and figure out what the odds were that anybody on any given day, any woman, was going to get a bed because, well, no room at the inn. So I read the book. I was exposed to something because where I grew up, men were taught to treat women with great respect. You might not agree with them, you might argue with them, but you do not put your hands on a woman. My grandfather, he could be a pretty, he could be a grumpy old guy, but I never saw him lay his hands on my grandmother. My dad, same thing. It just didn't. Now, oh no, it happened. It happened in our small town, as it happens everywhere across every socioeconomic barrier, boundary, however you want to label it. But I'm just saying in my immediate family, didn't happen. Or did it? I didn't find this out till years later. I had an uncle, of course I'm going to call no names here. I had an uncle who was horribly, verbally, and physically abusive to my aunt, one of the sweetest, kindest, gentlest women you could ever come across. And behind closed doors, he became an animal. Again, I didn't find this out till long after my wife and I opened Cassie's house. That was the name of it. I wonder if there's a picture of Cassie still on the internet. Let's see. Now this happened way back. There you go, right there, Cassie's house. Let's see. Cassie. Now, when you're on a page, you're trying to find a specific word, just go Control F. Hold down the Control key and tap F. You'll get this little pop-up, find in page. Let's see. Okay, so maybe they're trying to... Anyway, I don't want to tie up anymore. Go here, search this, search her name, Cassie Parker. So, read the book, saw the news, was deeply moved. As I was leaving my office the next day, it wasn't even, I was actually, it's a place I worked. That was not a place I owned or ran. I was at that point in my life. You've heard me talk about you've heard me talk about 1996 when I was 37, when my wife and I returned to the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and my grandmother. This is all happening right at the same time. As I left the office the following day, I noticed a little house across the street. Never really paid it much attention before. This was not in the best of neighborhoods. It had a label, Cracktown, but 16th Street, just south of Thomas. There was a for rent sign. So I went home. I called the number on the sign. Didn't have a cell phone back then. Asked how much. Said, please meet me at the property. Rented it. Came home. Told my wife what I had done. She said, have you lost your mind? I said, I don't know, honey. I honestly don't know. All I know is we have to do this. She said, I support you. If God's calling you to do this, let's do it. So, we had our marching orders. We had a facility. But we had no education. I mean, we're not counselors. We never went to college for counseling, or we didn't know diddly about this. All we knew is there was a great need. Remember, 100 women and children are being told every day in Phoenix at this time, go home, get beat again, try again tomorrow. Somebody had to fix it. God wanted to fix it. Now, why in the world he chose us, I don't know. Maybe because he knew that we were just so hungry to see his will unfold in our life. Are gullible. I don't care. He picked us. And so, as we're sitting there figuring out what our next step was, first I put in a call to Chrysalis, the big one here in Phoenix, and I introduced myself, and I said, my wife and I are opening a home for battered women and abused children. Please, before you turn someone else away, give them my phone number. Lady said, well, okay, well, you know, what's your background? What's blah, blah, blah. All the bureaucratic type of stuff you might expect. I said, ma'am, all I'm telling you is that the next time a woman and child presents themselves at your door and they tell you that they're being abused, do not turn them away. Give them our phone number. Please. Well, you know, this isn't how things are. Ma'am, I understand. Would you just please give them? Please give them our phone number. Okay. 24 hours later, this was a 2-bedroom, ramshackle. 24 hours later, we had 13 women and children laid out across the floor. Blankets, pallets, as we used to call them back home. We're out of beds, make a pallet on the floor. Some of you are familiar with that terminology. Within 24 hours, 13 women and children did not have to go home and take another beating. They had a roof over their head, food to eat, and they were safe by the grace of God. Not because my wife and I were anybody special. No, because God is special, because God takes care of his people. And if that requires someone who's trying to turn his own life around, trying to return to the God of his upbringing, and that applies to both my wife and I, what it took was us just saying, yes, God. I could have given him a laundry list. We don't have the money. We don't have the education. We don't have the permits or whatever. We just said, okay, God. Because his orders were clear. And so that's how Cassie's house began. We originally called it Safe Harbor because we got to call everything something. So we chose to call it Safe Harbor because that's what it represented to these women and children, was some place that they could be safe. And the book, and you're going to understand this when you read the book, it was a blueprint, an absolute perfect blueprint. We would have never known how important it was that the women and the children, that they cut off all communications. Number one, with the abuser. They couldn't go to mom's house. They couldn't go to their brother or sister's house because he, that sick SOB, would find them. He would track them down, find them, and kill them. If you don't believe me, ask Cassie when you get to heaven, because that's exactly what happened to Cassie Parker. He tried to kill them both. He tried to kill Cassie and her mother. The bullet somehow, she was shot in the neck, but somehow that bullet managed to miss that main vein or artery. It was a difficult recovery, but she recovered. And one night, we were watching TV, the news, and they did an interview with Cassie's mom. She told the story, and they again retold the story about how there's never any room at the end. She said, more than anything, I would like to create a place where women and children can be safe in memory of my daughter, but I have no resources. I don't have the education that's required for something like that. But that's my dream, to honor my daughter by helping other women and children find safety before the unthinkable happens. So we got a hold of the local news station, and they put us in touch with Cassie's mom, and we explained our situation, that we'd been open just only a few months, that we had sort of a generic name, Safe Harbor, but that we would consider it an honor to rename our facility after her daughter, Cassie's house. Her mom went on to testify before Congress and do a lot of incredible things to create public awareness of this issue, this problem with domestic violence. And if I stopped right there, that would be one heck of a true story. But as they say, as seen on TV. But wait, there's more. A 17-year-old pregnant girl, a young girl, showed up at our place 17, pregnant, hopelessly addicted to crack cocaine. And just literally a month and a half away from giving birth. Nowhere to go, nowhere to turn, nowhere to run. The only options she had available was to go home and take another beating because she was no longer an earner. She was no longer contributing to the bottom line. She was actually taking away from the bottom line. She went from being an asset to an expense. That increased the frequency of the beatings. Did we take her in? Of course we did. Did we have room? We made room. By this point, God had elevated us from that shabby little place in that bad neighborhood to a very beautiful home in a nice neighborhood with nice neighbors and a big fenced-in backyard. And that is where my son Gabriel was born. Actually, at the last minute, we, of course, rushed her to the hospital. She gave birth in the delivery room at the hospital. And then when she left the hospital, of course, she came back home to her new home, Cassie's house, where she spent quite a bit of time. And then we got her into a program called Homeward Bound, where she did really, really well for a period of time. Then the enemy came calling, and wheels came off the bus. I'm so sad to say. Wheels came off the bus, and the state of Arizona asked my wife and I if we would take in my son. And, of course, we did. He lived with us for a few years. Then it was time to, have another go at it. And the wheels came off the bus again. And it was at that point in time when the wheels came off the bus, my daughter was born. Fast forward a couple of years, we stood before the judge at the Phoenix Family Justice Court. Some of you guys have probably seen that picture on Facebook. Sometimes it pops up when I open the page. Yeah, there it is. I'm going to show it to you because I'm deeply moved at the moment. This was not a planned discussion for today, but I do almost remember where I diverted, so we'll go back to that. That's my boy, and that's my girl, and that's my baby girl. This woman's put up with me for 40 years. And here's the guy that banged the gavel, made it all official. He's ready to go off and serve his country in the military. She's still making her decision. Maybe veterinarian. She's just still making the decision. Now, what are the odds? Now, shortly after everything I just explained, we lost our house mother at Cassie's house. And by that point in time, other facilities had risen up to fill the void. And what Chrysalis couldn't do with their $1 million a year budget. My wife and I, of course, God did this. He just gave us the keys. He just gave us, of all the people in Phoenix, he could have done it with. I'm so humbled. I'm so humbled. Now, I'm not telling you this because I want you to emulate what we did. I'm saying this because I want you to find what God has for you. We stepped into our divine destiny. Is it possible that God had me read that book at that particular point in my life, and then I just so happened to turn on the television and catch that news program, and coincidentally, after we signed the rental papers on that first house, and we were just trying to figure out what to do next. I mean, I'd already put in the call to Chrysalis, gave him our phone number. And we knew that phone was going to start ringing. And we were we were just gathering up blankets and pillows and putting together groceries so we could stock the refrigerator. I mean, we were really flying. We had our eyes wide open, but we didn't know what was going to happen next. I know that what I'm about to say now really sounds like one of those Christianese kind of stories. But the phone rang, and it wasn't a woman in distress. It was a woman who walks very closely with God. My wife's sister, Barbara. She has 6 sisters, by the way, 2 brothers. Good Catholic family. Barbara and her husband and all of her kids lived in Flagstaff. Now, she had no idea what we were doing in Phoenix. She didn't know I had read the book, watched the news show, rented a property, called Chrysalis. She knew none of that. She said, I have some news to share with you guys. Oh, okay, great. What's up? David, who is her husband, David and I have been praying and seeking God for the next chapter of our life. We feel that we're at a point where God's getting ready to do a new thing, and we're praying, we're fasting, asking Him to reveal what that thing is. And they both say that individually, God spoke to them, and He said, I want you to move back to Phoenix. I want you to help women and children who are victims of domestic violence. And Barbara said, I'm scared to death. Dwayne, I love God, I love people, I love life. But I don't know how to do this. I was speechless for a moment. That's about as long as I can go. And I just gave my wife the phone and said, honey, can you explain to her what's happening here? And she did. And that very night, they began to pack all of their belongings in Flagstaff into a moving van. And within 72 hours, they had boots on the ground. They were boots on the ground in Phoenix. And she just slid right into the saddle, as if she had been doing it her entire life. Because God had been preparing her entire life for such a time as this. It was hard to believe as it was happening, looking back on it in the rearview mirror. It's still hard to believe. But anytime that intellectual part of Dwayne that wants to square off and do battle with the spiritual part of Dwayne, that's just one of many instances that I just refer to. I refer to that. And no amount of intellectualizing can change the facts of what happened, that story, how it unfolded. We don't know where Biomom is today. We pray that she's well. We've done our best to try to stay in touch over the years, but she pretty much closed that door. So, God, wherever she is right now, I thank you for the beautiful gift that you gave us through her, the role that she played. And I pray, God, that wherever she is, that you keep her safe. I pray that her life is on track. Most of all, I pray that she has found you, and I pray, God, that she has a relationship with you, one that's real. This I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, I started that long story, which I had not planned today. It's not the first time I've told it, but it's a beautiful thing about the truth. You don't have to remember anything. Oh, well, you got to remember the truth, but you know what I mean. I said that a lot of traders out there, this could be you, you've found the shiny new indicator, you got very excited, you bought it, you didn't really have anybody to teach you what to do with it, but you read the PDF, you watched the tutorial video, and then you gave it your best shot over and over and over until you exhausted the funds in your account, and so you went down to the bank. This is when you still had to go to the bank to send a wire. You go down to the bank, send another wire to Chicago, and then repeat the cycle. New indicator, excitement, purchase, trade, blow up, send another wire. People who've been through that cycle twice, 3 times, 10 times, suffer from what I call battered trader syndrome. Battered wife syndrome. That is a scientifically, medically documented issue. And in my book, due out this spring, Emini Trading Book, you can read about it at eminitradingbook.com. There's a chapter devoted to what I just told you, and in that chapter I draw the parallels. I mean, there's an actual, well, you'll see it, you'll read it. Now, in the world of domestic violence, once the cycle begins, the only thing capable of breaking the cycle is incarceration or death. Cassie's mother's boyfriend he was incarcerated. He was put to death. here in the state of Arizona. Now, those of you that are traders, you relate to this story in some form or fashion. If you're brand new, it's the future that awaits you unless you prevent it from happening. And it will happen unless you do something to prevent it. And that something means you have to find someone willing to teach you how to trade. Trading's not easy. It can be that simple. Doesn't have to be me. Doesn't have to be Michael. But it has to be someone who's willing to commit their time and their effort to your success. We can't guarantee that you're going to become a consistently profitable professional trader. If we made such a claim, then that would just put us in the same pot as all the rest of the liars. Okay? And they say sometimes you just got to call a spade a spade. Sometimes you just got to call a liar a liar. All right? There are people on the internet who lie for a living. It's what they do. It's in the ad copy. It's in the sales pitch. It's in the rebuttals. I'm not saying everyone out there is guilty of this. No, 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 no. There are a lot of good, decent, honest, hardworking people out there in this business. But you have to figure out who's who and what's what. If you don't, you'll become a victim. So the question is do you want to be victim or victor? You don't have to just believe me because I sound believable or just because I'm pouring my heart out to you. We want you to come, see what we do, use our tools, learn our methodology, learn our strategy, and then when you believe, not because I said so or not because some clever ad copy said so, but because you actually came, saw, used, traded, and demo everything that we do. Once you've satisfied that part of the equation, then you can pay us. Now, the internet's full of reviews. You know, there's even a thing called review farms. Have you ever read a review for a product that, even though it says it's from Fred in Baton Rouge, somehow you just kind of get the feeling that maybe English isn't Fred in Baton Rouge's first language? Yeah, no, there's businesses, and they're not just in China, they're all over the world, where people sit and grind out reviews, one after another, all day long, to hype and promote a product so that when it's time for you to hit the buy button, you read all these glowing testimonials, which make you feel comfortable about your purchase. You got to be very, very careful with that whole review business. Now, the review business is a double-edged sword. If someone has a competing product, or if someone has an axe to grind with you for whatever reason, perhaps you just don't want to play the game by their rules. They can write some pretty terrible stuff about you. And that's the thing about the internet. Once it's out there, it's out there. There have been court cases where, I believe this was I think the landmark case, the one that gets referred to a lot, had to do with a restaurant in New York City. You can Google this up, it's all fact. Some guy felt like this restaurant down the street was stealing all of his business, so he and his cronies went to the internet, went to Yelp, and started writing really horrible reviews of the competitor down the street. And it didn't take long before the new business was no longer stealing business from the original business, because when people Yelped or whatever other review service they went to, food was horrible, service sucked. Oh my goodness, the list goes on. Now, is it illegal to write a negative review? No, it's not. It's not even unethical if it's the truth. But when it's not the truth, well, that's a little something called a lie. And of the 10 Commandments, Moses had 600. Thank you, Jesus, we only got 10. One of them's pretty clear, pretty explicit. Thou shalt not lie. Okay? Now, you know where I'm going with this. There's a fellow out there with an axe to grind with me. I won't go into the details, but some of you know. Some of you understand. You know what's under the hood. And some of you also know the wheels that are grinding in the background. To address this. So, if anybody can post anything about anybody, any product, any service, and put it on the internet where it lives forever, what are you going to do? Well, you could respond, but what happens is every time you respond, that creates another response, which creates another response. So you can feed into the machine, or you can continue to do business in such a manner that it brings honor to your name and to the name of God. Plain and simple. Integrity is what you do when nobody's looking. So people have written things about us, painful, hurtful. Hey, we're as human as anybody else. But you know what? We had to make a decision. Are we going to get into some cat fight here? No. I've come to the conclusion, what other people think of me, it's none of my business. As long as I can look myself in the mirror every day and know that I did everything within my power to do the right thing. And I know that God is well pleased with me because I have been obedient to His word. I don't care. I don't care what people say. I don't care what people think. So if you cannot put your trust in these reviews, whether they're cranked out just by some cranky person that was unable to become successful in the markets because they didn't follow the instructions. Sometimes it's just that simple. You know, I can't change that. All I can do is what we do, and that is to any of our clients, we offer unlimited one-on-one mentoring. In other words, when you have an issue, there's help. And when your issue has an issue, there's help. I don't know of anyone else that does that. I know there's people who say they do that, but I keep hearing these horror stories over and over in mentoring sessions about what the last guy promised and what the last guy did, and how refreshing it is to find someone who actually does what they say they're going to do. And so, rather than ask you to trust some review on the internet posted by God knows who, maybe it really is Fred in Omaha, or maybe it's One Hung Low in Beijing. I don't know. So what we do is we invite you to talk to our clients. Have a conversation. Find out. Talk to somebody who took their hard-earned money, invested it in a training program and a methodology with us. Ask them about their results. Now, I promise you, the people in the review farms and the people who have just some axe to grind, when they start dialoguing with you, things are going to change real quick. There is a link at EminiFuturesTrading.com that invites you to join our public Telegram discussion group. When you go there, you'll find real people, real traders. Some English isn't their first language. Most of them it is. But you can ask any question you want. I don't know anybody else that does this, but we're able to do it because we're transparent. What we say to you on this radio program, what we say on the internet, the words on our website, the words in our email, it's the truth. We're transparent in everything that we do. When we have a great day, well, we're certainly happy, but we try not to toot our horn too loud. If it's a mediocre day, well, we share that. Trade by trade, tick by tick. And if it was a rough day in the market, well, we understand that's the truth about trading. So we report on that as well. And we record it for everyone, those who can't tune in live. You can go to our archive at youtube.com/CFRN. You'll find years of radio programs just like this one, sitting there waiting for you to listen to, for you to watch. Go back a week, go back a month, go back a year, go back 3 years. You'll hear the intro. I'll say clever words. Michael will come in and do a recap of everything that just happened in the live training room with everybody watching. And then I come in and I do my part where I recap the Logic 247 alerts for the previous 24 hours and also the Concierge Trade Alerts for the past 24 hours. If you fear that you may be caught up in that cycle, that you may be suffering from battered trader syndrome, I encourage you to break the cycle today. This doesn't have to end in incarceration or death. It only requires that you make the decision that's right for you. And it won't cost you a dime to find out if what we do is right for you. At eminitrainingschool.com, you sign up for the trial. Valerie gets you all set up in Telegram and with the indicators. Then we encourage you to follow along, trade along in SIM for an entire week. Ask the hard questions. Get to the bottom of this thing once and for all. Learn how markets really work. Because once you understand how markets really work, once you learn our simple by design strategy, once you own our indicator set for life, you'll never need a guy like me again. Ever. No guru with crystal balls, no hocus, no pocus, no sleight of hand, no parlor tricks. You, my friend, can become a trader. The ball is in your court. Now, let us get back to what I originally set out to do here. Here's the S&P 500 Emini Futures. These are the current weekly trading zones. If you would like a screenshot, I said I was going to start out with Logic, so let me just do that because that's going to be pretty quick. Logic, we are in week 74. Okay. And as of 10:30 a.m. this morning, we've had 18 actionable alerts. So every alert issued this week triggered. 0 stopped out. I know. Hard to believe, right? Well, it's just the truth. Over the last quarter, we've averaged 14% getting stopped out. Over the past year, we've averaged 20% getting stopped out. So that's our benchmark, that's our target, that's what we shoot for each and every week. We've had a couple weeks where we exceeded 20%, and we've also had weeks of 0. So that 20% on average, that's a pretty conservative number. But then again, you don't have to just take my word for it because it's all public information. Everything we do, everything is available for your inspection. Now this week on Logic, last week was week 73. 14 alerts issued, 1 were stopped out. We had 10 actionable alerts because 4 of them never triggered. So last week 10% were stopped out. And so far, week 74, thumbs up means we found a target. S&P, NQ, crude oil, gold, S&P, Dow, Russell, S&P, S&P, Dow, crude oil, gold, S&P, Dow, Russell, NQ, crude oil, and gold. Great week. The 0% stopped out. But remember, the average, the benchmark, what we shoot for, is 20%. Okay? All right. Here's your screenshot if you want one. Alerts got out a little bit late last night because we had a partner workshop, partner passport holder workshop. So there they are. We do the same 8 markets for years. S&P, Dow, Russell, crude, NQ, bonds, gold, soybeans. Screenshot 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now they came out at midnight. So let's find midnight, which is right there. Okay. Concierge Trade Alerts said, consider being short 32.35. And 32.35 is right there. $32.35. Okay. And these are the current weekly zones you see on the chart. I haven't updated them all, but I will. Sell 32.35. Okay. Now, yesterday, or the previous night, the alert was to be long 32.44. So the target would be the zone overhead. So 44 to 49. It's a 5-point move. $50 per point. That's what the S&P pays. So it's $250 per contract traded. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. That's one of the things that makes our alerts unique. Most alert services, you'll see them trigger once, and that's the intention. We arrive at our numbers in a unique manner. That's why you see the multiple triggers. Okay? So first trigger, give us a nice 5-point move. Actually went 6, but we'll call it 5. It looks like I called it 6 there, so we'll call it 6. Okay? 6 times 50 is $300 per contract. That is an error. Let me straighten that out. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, let's get rid of that because it all says it right here. This move from 44 to 49, well, it went to 50, 6 points. It's $300 per contract. First trigger, $300 per contract traded. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, and with us, if you follow the blueprint, you earn the right one step at a time. That's how you build something that will stand the test of time. When you build a house, you lay a firm foundation. Those of you that are in the construction business, you know the steps, the procedures. You can't skip a step. Okay? If you don't have a solid foundation, I don't care how magnificent a house you build. First strong wind, first heavy rain, I think it can be washed away. Every step is important. Okay. The foundation of your training or your trading business has to be a solid foundation. The way you get a solid foundation for your trading business is training. Someone teaches you how to create that solid foundation, and then you do it. And then you move on to the next step. All right. So, the numbers are on the screen. Important prices, important areas, almost always tested. Get back below the trigger. Second trigger, wasn't ready to get out of the gate quite yet. Okay, so we consolidate. Only 3 things happen at a weekly trading zone. The most likely thing is consolidation, like you see here, and like you see here. Okay, that's consolidation. Then price ran all the way up to let me get that out of my way. Come on. All right. So from 32.44 up to 32, well, at 63, from 44 to 64, well, that would be 20. So let's call it 18. Alexa, 18 times 50, please.
18 times 50 is 900.
Okay. So that was a...
I'm sorry if I wasn't clear.
No, you were. Thank you. So we have a $900 per contract move. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, that is a $9,000 move. That's just a function of math. Doesn't matter if you're using our strategy, our methodology, or someone else's. If the S&P moves 18 points, as it did here, function of math, $900 per contract. If you've earned the right to trade 10, it's a $9,000 move. Is this the highest weekly trading zone? I say it isn't. Where is the highest weekly trading zone? We haven't got there yet. Is there anything on the road to the highest? There is. That would be called the next to the highest. So that's going to be 32.59. It's going to be 58. 58/59. So did we get there? We did. Did we spike it a little bit? We did. What's the highest zone for this week? The zone that it doesn't look like we'll make it to this week. However, I would keep my eye on it Sunday night, just in case. Now, the weekly trading zones go to the partners, passport holders, Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. We just had our 10-year anniversary of the weekly trading zones. If you're not a partner, if you're not a passport holder, as I go through these numbers today, if you just jot them down, you'll find that they can be very beneficial to you Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, as we move into the new week. Now, we got to the zone, spiked it a little bit, started to move back down. So, $300 per contract, first trigger. Second and third trigger led to a $900 per contract move. Now, the Concierge Trade Alert also said to consider being short 32.35 if the opportunity presented itself. I'm sorry. I backed up 2 days. This was the 32.44. Let me just show you so nobody gets confused. On Wednesday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, that was New Year's Day, that's when the 32.44 alert came out. Last night's alert, Thursday night, came out at midnight. That one's to be long, 32.56. Okay? So let's make sure everybody gets a good screenshot of the proper zones for last night. Here, if you missed the night before, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then last night, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's what I mean about transparency. Okay? Whatever we say and do, we stand behind it 100%. Whether it creates a profitable event or an unprofitable event, that's just the truth about trading. And you will have both as a trader. Okay. So now, catching up to last night. Last night's alert that came out at midnight, January the 3rd. Consider being short, 32.35. And is that the lowest zone? Nope. The lowest zone this week is 32.01/02. Okay. All right. So from 32.35, we dropped to the zone where we consolidated. That's what we anticipate. And then price dropped through the zone, took us to the next zone where we consolidated. And then at 5:30 a.m. Eastern today, we spiked all the way down to 32.0675. Alexa, 32.35 minus 32.07.
3,235 minus 3,207 equals 28.
Okay. Alexa, 28 times 50.
28 times 50 is 1,400.
Okay. So that's a $1,400 per contract move. Getting out of swing low or swing high can be difficult. Why? Well, simply because you don't know it's a swing low or a swing high until after the fact. Now, this is another spot where you'll find our indicators very useful. Now, important prices, important areas are almost always tested, so let me just cover that. We trigger, we drop $1,400 per contract. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, that's a $14,000 move. Not a bad way to end the week, I might add. But getting out of the swing low is difficult at best. So I'll show you how we handle that. But first I'll point out that the second trigger gave up 4 points. The third trigger gave up 4 points. Now, somebody in the audience, somebody new, somebody with a little time off for the holidays, you don't normally get a chance to watch the show, you got to be looking at this going, like, come on, who's that guy trying to kid? That's not even possible. Well, I don't know what to tell you. You could go to youtube.com/CFRN, watch years of radio shows and the recaps and the results. Or you can accept my invitation to go to EminiFuturesTrading.com, click on that link, drop into Telegram, talk to real traders, people just like you, people who had had enough of buying junk on the internet and sending more money to Chicago, buy more junk on the internet, send more money to Chicago, buy more junk. Yeah, you get the idea. I don't know. Are you sick and tired? Maybe you're not sick and tired yet. Some people, I guess, enjoy the suspense. I don't. All right. So if you can't get out of the swing low, what's a trader to do? Well, our indicators not only help you get into high probability trading opportunities, they keep you out of markets that are not conducive to trading. And then once you find yourself in a move, in an extended move, in a beauty, in one of those trades that traders just live for. You wait for the exit signal. Now, in a short trade, here's how that works. First, you need to have an extended move. Okay. Well, what's that? The average move in the S&P 500 is 3 to 5 points. I teach all of my traders how to determine what the average swing is in the market that they choose to trade. So whatever floats your boat, maybe it's crude, maybe it's gold, maybe it's the NQ, maybe it's pork bellies. If you decide to hang your hat with us, I'll teach you how to find that number for your market. S&P, I just give it away to everybody. It's not like it's some secret. The average swing is 3 to 5 points. So once a trade exceeds 5 points in the S&P, that gets my attention because the doors are now open for this to become an extended move. From 32.35 down to 32.31, that's a 4-point move. That's not quite an extended move yet. Okay? It's this move right here. It's this beautiful red candle. As that thing clocks past 31, 30, 29, boom, we're in an extended move. Now here's what I'm watching. Here's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the chart to tell me that this move has run out of steam and that I should consider taking my profits. Now, the exit signal will never get you out at the exact swing high or the exact swing low, because as I explained, no one knows it's a swing high or swing low until when? After the fact. Here's what happens when a market runs out of steam. Look at your chart. When price starts to walk sideways, we've got a big red candle, we've got an inside candle, we got an inside candle of an inside candle. Now, this little black line, it's called a step line. because it steps over. In a short trade, it steps over and steps down, steps over and steps down, step over, step down, step over, step down, step over, step down. You get the idea. But look what happened right here. It stepped over, but it didn't step down. It stepped over, and then what did it do? It stepped over again. See the difference? Step over, step down, step over, step down, step over, step over. So now what we're looking for on a short trade, we're looking for the first green candle that closes above the step line. That's it. That's the exit signal. Now, the closing price, 32.22 and a quarter. $32.22 and a quarter. Let's just be conservative and round it up to $32.23. That is the official factory authorized exit signal. $32.23. Okay. And it lives right there. Not surprisingly, right at a weekly trading zone. So now let's do that math again. Alexa, 32.35 minus 32.23.
3,235 minus 3,223 is 12.
Alexa, 12 times 50.
12 times 50 is 600.
Okay. Now, why?
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
That's okay. You did real good. Thank you. Okay. Now, why in the world would I make a big deal about turning a $1,400 per contract trade, or $14,000 move, if you do the math? Why would I crow about whacking that thing in half, more than half, because of a little thing called certainty? You see, this swing low, I have no way of knowing that is the swing low until well after the fact. These are 30-minute candles. A lot happens in 30 minutes. Now, do I have to wait for the exit signal? Of course not. This is discretionary trading. You're in the driver's seat. You get to make the decisions. Okay? Once price begins to walk sideways, I can exit anywhere in here. Or I can wait for the exit signal. Sometimes the exit signal will get you out real close to that swing low. But you see this candle right here, the one that printed from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m., buyers liked what they saw, and they ran it up real good, right up to a weekly trading zone. So in this move, you could have had $1,400 per contract. You could have waited for the exit signal and had $600 per contract. Or you could have not even known there was a trade opportunity here. And if you suspected that there was, you didn't know what to do with it. You smelled opportunity, felt like opportunity, but where do I get in? How do I manage it? When do I get out? How do I get out? That's what we do. That's what we're about. We don't just hand you some indicators and a PDF, hearty handshake and a pat on the back, wishing you well. No. No, we stick around. Once you become a partner or passport holder, we don't run for the hills. No, we encourage you right away. Get started booking mentoring sessions. Go to the mentoring page on the CFRN website. Find days and times that fit your schedule and start booking. Okay? If you don't book mentoring sessions, if you don't get the personalized one-on-one training that we offer that's included with the passport, then this is going to turn out just like every other venture where you went on the internet and something looked real cool, so you spent 10, 20, 30 grand, whatever, and before you knew it, you were off sending money to Chicago again. If you're going to let this become that, you know what? It's better that you, because my schedule is limited. I only have so many hours in a day that I can devote to mentoring. Okay? Same with Michael. I make extra hours. Sometimes I mentor in the middle of the night. In fact, the first mentoring session I had with one of our traders in Bali, who I know is listening right now, I was in bed. He called me, it was 2 a.m. Eastern. What'd I do? I answered the phone. I'm not promising you I'm going to answer the phone if you call me at 2 a.m. I also don't get a lot of calls from Bali. So, that's the story. Happy New Year, Tim. I got up, came into my office, sat at my desk, had a conversation, and the rest is his story. He's now a CFRN passport holder, and he and I have had many mentoring sessions. In fact, we even had the privilege of meeting him in person as he was passing through these parts. Sat down, broke bread. He had a chance to meet my wife, my sister-in-law. We were spending, and some of you guys have seen the video, 4th of July weekend. I actually took a day off, went up north, enjoyed the cool country. I love Oak Creek Canyon. That is one of God's special places on planet Earth. If I had my druthers, I'd be there right now, out on that little deck where I had coffee that morning. I know some of you have seen that iconic coffee cup on that table with the sound of the creek in the background. I could put on and take off some pretty great trades there. Now, some of you have also seen the picture of the potential new office. I wonder if I have that anywhere nearby, round about these parts. I think I just might. It's a possibility. Let me just do a quick scroll here. Ooh, I found it. Almost. Closing in. Okay, I got to do that microphone thing. Hang on. Yeah, I think I gotta crank up my volume here. Hang on. All right, looks like my volume's maxed out. So let me turn the mic up towards. There you go. Let's see what we got. Now, look at the background. That's all the Verde Valley. That's Sedona over there. And that's real snow on the ground.
We may have just found a perfect spot. Great. Is there a hedge fund to trade from? It's available. I might get that number down.
Now, here's where I went crazy.
I'd like to trade all day. With that view. Wouldn't be so hard to go bell to bell. Now, would it?
All right. I gotta say, that didn't really do it justice. Let me see what else I got here in the old kit bag. Okay, here's coming into town. Yeah, we'll just start with this one. Look at that. Jerome, $1 billion copper camp back in the day. Home to cowboys, miners, brothels. It is, along with Oak Creek Canyon, one of my favorite places on earth. Now, this was magical. This is the same view that you would see out the window of the new office if I open it. Ah! That building you see in the bottom left there, it's on the market for $6 million. That's inside Nellie Bly, place where you buy kaleidoscopes. This is all old hippies. This is my favorite place to have an adult beverage. Somebody had a bad day. Let's go inside. What do you say?
I may have just found.
And that takes us back to that beautiful office space. That was the end of the journey. We pulled off at Cliff Castle Casino, I think, just to get some gas, something to eat. We didn't do any gambling. I was too tired. It's been a long day. Ha. And there we are, rode hard and put up with having food we don't typically eat. Chicken fritters or whatever they call those things. Nuggets, yeah, nuggets. All right. Okay. So, nice trip for me down memory lane. Now let me get this volume switched back over to my headset. Okay. All righty then. All right, we've covered the S&P. Last night, the alert said, consider being short, 32.35. We dropped $1,400 per contract. The exit signal appeared at $600 per contract. And I got way too many windows open. Okay. All right. Let me go back to the alerts. There we go. All right. So we triggered once, so we had we'll just use the exit signal. $600 per contract move for $6,000 if you've earned the right to trade 10. You got to earn the right. Okay. And then we had a 4-point move followed by another 4-point move. Followed by a 2-point move. Okay. All right, let's go to the Dow. All right, last night on the Dow, consider being short 28,590. 28,590. All right, 25,890. Alexa, 25,890 minus 28,455.
2,670 minus 2,895 is negative 225. Did that answer your question?
No, I don't think it
Thanks
did.
for your feedback.
Alexa, 28,590 minus 28,455. Alexa, 28,590 minus 28,455.
2,940 minus 2,895 is 45.
Oh, she just can't get that one right. I'm sorry, you failed the test today. 28590, 28455. It was like 135 points. 455, 455. Yeah, we'll go with 100. Alexa, 135 times 5. Alexa, 135 times 5, please.
135 times 5 is 675.
Thank you.
Of course.
670.
Have a good afternoon.
Yeah, you too. $675 per contract move. The next weekly trading zone below is 320. This one should be 505/510. But I want to get through these, so I'm going to just pick up the pace here. You can check in Telegram later, get the exact numbers if you need them. You should have them. But if you're part of the audience, I always give them to you at the end of the week to help you out next week. And then the zone above that, above 510, is 28,570/75. 28,570. /75, and above that's 28,640. 28,640 /645. Now you'll notice what price does. Price goes from zone to zone, consolidate to zone, consolidate. Back up to the zone, back down to the zone, back up to the zone, back down to the zone, back up to the zone, back down to the zone, back up to the zone. Pick apart any one of these moves, zone to zone, from 570 to 640. That's $350 per contract traded. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. This is what our members, our partners, our passport holders have access to every single day. If you're still struggling, if you're still trying to figure it all out, please don't be too hard on yourself. This industry, the vendors in this industry, intentionally make it seem more complicated than it has to be. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just telling you, you can cut through the stuff and find out that it's actually pretty simple. If you have a strategy with a definable edge, if you have indicators that don't just churn out nonsense, but actually help you understand what the market is trying to do, and a real live human being teacher who actually teaches you how to use the methodology, how to use the strategy, how to read the indicators. With those three things, trading's still not easy, but it becomes simple by design. And it puts you on a fast track to possibly becoming a professional E-mini trader, a person who trades for a living. As surely as I can teach you how to play baseball, I cannot make you a pitcher for the Yankees. I can certainly teach you everything that you see me do on this radio program day after day, month after month, year after year. I can teach you every bit of that based upon your willingness to accept it and learn it. This is no fast road to riches. Far from it. You're going to have to hunker down. You're going to have to do the work. But I promise you, it's not complicated. It's not convoluted. And it's not ridiculously expensive. Everything we offer, everything, the whole kit and caboodle, from the strategy to the methodology to the workshops to the indicators, you can have it all for less than $5,000. I'm not ashamed of the price. Now, some places you got to go through page after page after page after page because they're ashamed of what they charge. So finally, after they've built up all this suspense and given you 9,000 worthless bonuses, they finally reveal the price. If you want to know our price, you got to do is ask me, I'll tell you. To the decimal point, $4,997. And I'm going to tell you something. If somebody had offered me that in 2005 for that price, I assure you, we would not be having this conversation today. But God, in His infinite wisdom, being the grand architect that He is, knew that He had to take me around that mountain the hard way so that I would be in a position today and have a willing spirit to spend my time and treasure teaching you how to trade Emini Futures. Now, does that bug me or bother me, or do I feel used? I do. I do feel used. And there's no greater feeling than to know that you've been used by God. Now, let's clear the air. I don't do it just because God's been good to me, and He has. Not just because the markets have been good to me, because they have. You're an income stream. We talked about this yesterday. The Bible says a man should have 7 income streams. That's what you should strive for. Trade, teach people how to trade, have a radio show with commercials, write a book about trading. There's 4 under the same industry umbrella, and I'm not done yet. Read any book written by any of the uber wealthy, the generationally wealthy, a Rockefeller or Trump. They're always going to teach you what it says in the Bible. You must have multiple income streams. Never put all your eggs in one basket. Okay, we got to move quick. On the Russell, last night I said in the alert, consider being long 1678. Never got there. I also said, consider being short 1652. And we clearly and cleanly got there. 1652 down to the zone below. That's going to be 8 points at $50 a point. That's $400 per contract traded. You've earned the right to trade 10. You can do the math. In Q, last night, all of our traders were told to consider being short 87.85. And from 87.85, the market dropped to 87.35. That's 50 NQ points at $20 per point. That is a $1,000 per contract move. And yes, you can do the math. Okay. On the NQ, the long side of that's up at 88.80. Okay. That has not come into play during this session. Crude oil. Last night, the alert said, consider being long 63.25. And that is right here, based on the time the alerts came out. 63.25. Immediate target overhead, weekly trading zone, 63.45. That's 20 ticks at $10 a tick, $200 per contract traded. Okay. The flip side on crude, consider being short 60.20. Obviously, we've not seen that in this session. Last but not least, gold. Consider being long 15.46. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. So there's 15.46. Come on. All right. So 15.46. 15.46 to 54. 46 to 54. That's $800 per contract traded. Important prices, important areas, almost always tested. So now we're going to go from 46 to 56. That's $1,000 per contract traded. And if you're a 10 contract trader, by golly, you can do your own math. $1,000 per contract move. All right. My friends, what a beautiful, beautiful way to start this new year God has given us. Let's go to our good word for the day, and then you can head off into the weekend and do what brings you joy. Tim says, would you move up there, Dwayne? I sure would, Tim. I'd love for my daughter to be able to go to school in that little small town schoolhouse they got up there. Absolutely. We've all heard, you have not because you ask not. James 4:2. It says, you desire but did not have, so you kill. You covet, but you cannot get what you want, so you quarrel and fight. Here's the bottom line. You do not have because you don't ask God. Now, I'm not about to tell you that God's going to give you every harebrained thing you asked him for. But by asking him, if what you're asking for lines up with his word, then yeah, there's a good chance you're going to get that. But if you get into a deep discussion with him, it's called prayer, he might set your thinking straight so that whatever it is that you're asking for, you'll realize it's a little harebrained. And so you alter that ask to something that does line up with his word, something that he can answer, something that he can honor. How large is your asking capacity when it comes to prayer? When Elijah asked Elisha, "What may I do for you before I am taken away?" Elisha said, "Please let a double portion of your spirit be upon me." And so it was, when they had crossed over, that Elijah said to Elisha, "Ask, what may I do for you before I am taken away from you?" And Elisha said this. He could have said anything, but this is what he asked for. "Please let a double portion of your spirit be upon me." Some of us may have been shocked by his response, pegged him as arrogant, and said, "Dude, you need to humble yourself and be grateful for the privilege of serving a great prophet like Elijah. And count yourself fortunate if God even allows you to carry on this ministry." But the point of this story is Elisha wasn't timid, and Elijah wasn't offended. So how did it all turn out? Well, if you've read the book, Elisha got his double portion and ended up performing twice as many miracles as Elijah. When you pray, God doesn't say, "Make your request reasonable and practical." He wants you to ask largely and abundantly, not sparingly. James 1:5 says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him." How's this for a big promise? "Only ask, and I will give you the nations as your inheritance, the whole earth as your possession." That's Psalm 2:8. So many of us are so guilty of putting this big God in this tiny little box. We hinder him. We limit him. We neuter him. There, I said it. Friend, let 2020 be the year that you let God out of that little box. Take off all the limits. Think about it. If he's willing to give you the nations as your inheritance, won't he surely save your loved ones, heal your body, give you that job, that home, or that relationship you've been praying for? In John 14:13, Jesus said, "And I will do whatever you ask in my name." Why? Because you look sharp in a Ferrari? And I'm not saying he's going to give you a Ferrari either, but that's another story for another day. No, Jesus said, "And I will do whatever you ask in my name, so that the Father may be glorified in the Son." Only 2 times in Scripture has someone said something that caused Jesus to marvel. On both occasions, it was a demonstration of audacious faith by a Gentile, and someone the religious crowd thought had no right to God's miraculous provision. So friend, the word for you today, for this new year 2020, the roaring 20s, enlarge the ask. And that's our good word for the day and for the week and for the new year. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.